Good evening, everybody. Keith Engle here for the TGI Sports Talks College Football Huddle right here on the McGrath Streaming Podcast Project. You can see Mac's silhouette here as our network logo, and that's what we'll be identifying as going forward. TGI Sports Talk is its own entity, obviously, but we have joined, we continue to be part of the force that Mac McGrath created at National Streaming Sports, and the McGrath Streaming Podcast Project is a legacy to our good friend Mac, and we're glad to have him with us. Let me find my banner here before we go around too far. There's our banner for here. Guys, lots to talk about in college football. I want to welcome everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the groups that allow us to share this show and all the shows every week. Some of our favorites scrolling at the bottom of the screen: John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings from America's Pastime, Flo and Can, who I screwed up trying to share their show last night. I'll do better next time, I promise, from Bottom Line Sports, the Bottom Line Sports Podcast. Ken Krause from Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts, the good folks, Tanner D and the good folks over at Let's Talk Sports. And Ralph Williams, quick shout out to him at RW Media. Catch all of Ralph's stuff from Ocean City, Maryland, Pittsburgh focused national footprint. He's does a lot of shows, well, specifically Sports Corner on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern with Smoking Jim Frazier. What else? We got a lot to talk about today. We got the college football playoff getting started Friday night. One game Friday night, 3 games on Saturday. We'll look at all of those. We'll kind of regroup with the Heisman voting and Pavia's reaction to it, if you will. Some quarterbacks who have announced they're coming back. Lenore Sellers, Arch Manning, key among them. Some guys in the portal. Not surprising. What else? The Michigan situation. What are they going to do about a head coach? Listen, I really think, and it's hard to go with an interim type thing with Biff Paggi, for instance, at a program like Michigan. Really hard to recruit. It's going to put the next coach in a bad position. But I'm not sure where they're going to go. DeBoer's not going there. Dillingham is negotiating extension at ASU. Jed Fish is probably the best candidate, probably far enough from – they want to get away from the Harbaugh era, even though Jed Fish coached there. It was 8-9 years ago. And by the way, let's not blame this on Jim Harbaugh, for God's sakes. Jesus, good grief. What's wrong with people? This guy is it's coming out now, worse and worse stuff about Sherrone Moore. He's just a bad guy. Bad guys hide it. He's not going to be the last guy to take a fall for this, but we'll talk more about that. We'll talk about Notre Dame and the fallout there and the ridiculous comments some ADs are making that we won't schedule a Notre Dame. That's never going to happen. Guys, talk through your what? You're never going to do that. Follow through and show me that you're not going to fill seats with Notre Dame coming into your stadium. Nonsense. Marcus Freeman, I don't think he's going anywhere, but there will be some interest from the NFL. Read a little more about Penn State took the most aggressive approach to talk to Freeman of the 3 biggest jobs, if you will. I guess that one, LSU and Florida. And by the way, let's make sure we aren't blaming Marcus Freeman for Notre Dame's situation. The one guy at Notre Dame, the guy, Bavak, was been out as a lone wolf on this whole thing. Freeman's name is nowhere. Freeman has not commented on the committee's decision. Freeman didn't comment on Notre Dame playing or not playing in a bowl game. Freeman's name was not on the statement, any of the statements that went out about Notre Dame withdrawing from any bowl games. Marcus Freeman is the one guy with his hands clean here. So please hold those thoughts. And we'll talk about anything you want. AC, how are you, my friend? Good to have you with us. Michael's with us. Good evening. Catch Michael Dighton's Edwards, all of his writings. Catch his last one, which we put up, I think, just yesterday. Good stuff there. Michigan in a situation stinker that a forgotten baby diaper. Stinkier than a forgotten baby diaper in a spare bathroom's trash. Ugh. Michael, a Michigan fan. Can't be good to be a Michigan fan today. I mean, they got to be doing so much damage control, trying to keep recruits, trying to keep guys from hitting the transfer portal here in what? 20 some days. Not pretty. And no coach. Probably the most likely coach to have taken this job was Matt Campbell, and he already took a job. DeBoer said no. Dillingham is staying at ASU. I read something today, may take a shot at Clark Lee. Clark Lee was going to leave. He would not have signed an extension and then going to turn around and leave. If he does, then I lose a lot of respect for Clark Lee in this situation. You need to, because of the calendar, you can't just leave a bunch of recruits you lied to, basically. I mean, they have a way to get out of their commitments, but Vanderbilt will go right back in the toilet. Freeman is a class act, Michael. I've read a lot of stuff the last 2 weeks about Notre Dame and a lot of vitriol, and in a lot of cases correctly. But Bavacqua is the attack dog here, and I'm sure others in the program have sent him out to be such. But I guarantee you that if Marcus Freeman didn't want to play in bowl games, his name would have been on that statement. So and these guys who say they're going to, because of Notre Dame, go and scorched earth on the ACC, pulling out of the, any bowl games, and that they're going, and because of them getting some preferred, by the way, they go to 16 games, that preferreds go away. There's not going to be an increase to 14 teams. It's going to go to 16 minimum. So, and it maybe as soon as next year. So that preferred status Notre Dame signed off on last spring, where if they're ranked in the top 12, they get in. That stays 13 if we go to 14. It goes away if they go to 16. So there is not going to be any more preferred status for them anymore. They haven't had any. I'm not saying they should. People want to get up. Notre Dame's a very polarizing situation. People love them or people hate them. There's very little in between. The fact of the matter is they belong in this playoff, and they're not there. What are you going to do? You could have gotten there by beating A&M or beating Notre Dame. I'm sorry, beating Miami. So no sour grapes by them from my end, and same as if my Miami Hurricanes, where are you? You had not gotten in, you wouldn't see me here screaming and yelling about it. I would not have done it. I would have told you they deserved to be in. I would have also said they had nobody to blame but themselves. Same with Notre Dame. Probably one of the top 5 teams in the country right now. Look in the mirror, guys. That's why you're not there. And as far as them not playing in a bowl game, it's getting ugly. The bowl situation is getting ugly. But that said, I think we have games being played right now, don't we? It was South Florida playing. They're trailing Old Dominion 7-3, and the historical staff DNA Cure Bowl. Can't make it up. I'm not sure where that's being played. We also have the 68 Ventures Bowl game tonight. Louisiana and Delaware. South Carolina beat Prairie View. That's South Carolina State, sorry. That was Saturday. We had a game last night. Troy and Jacksonville in a shootout, 17-13. and the Salute to Veterans Bowl. So at least I'll give you credit for giving the salute to the veterans, okay? Thank you for that. But what other news we have in college football? We do know that a couple of quarterbacks coming back. Arch Manning, no surprise. Been telling you all along he wasn't going anywhere. He's coming back to Texas next year for his junior year, I believe. The senior, he might be. He might even have 2 more years if he wants to come back. Doubtful. He'd be the number 1 pick in the draft. It was today. This quarterback class is so bad. I mean, I can't even tell you how bad this is. Other than Mendoza at the top, and I'm not in love with him, quite frankly, on the next level. You don't know, but you're taking your hang on a second. I mean, you're really taking a chance if you're going to take him with a number 1 pick overall. Heisman Trophy winner, sure. So what? So was Jason White. Didn't get drafted at all. I was going to look for the let's see if I can find it here. What am I looking for? Not helping me any. There we go. Where's my draft? Here we go. Top guys. Dante Moore is listed at number 1, and quite frankly, if somebody was going to have a top NFL career, he's got a better shot than anybody but Mendoza. But after those 2 guys, you're down to Ty Simpson, Nussmeier. That's if these guys come out. Malava. Sellers is coming back to school, so he's out of this draft. Sean Levitt is staying in school. He's going to transfer. He's hitting the transfer portal. John Mateer, Klubnik. Pavia is not going to get drafted. If he does, it's going to be the last day, late. Carson Beck. Brendan Sorsby's back in the. He's going to hit the portal. Hello, Paul Spada. Spada. You need a Y in your name. Just kidding. So, again, if you're an NFL team, don't be putting a lot of stock in getting a great quarterback this year. Mendoza's your best shot. And congratulations, landslide win in the Heisman. Probably, I thought it'd be much, much closer with Pavia. But Pavia showed zero class, too, by the way, with his remarks afterwards on social media. Zero class. He did walk it back later, but, you once the genie's out of the bottle. And that's who he is. That's his attitude. That's the personality that you're getting. And he'll get some tryouts in the NFL, guaranteed. He'll probably be undrafted, would be my guess. But he'll get a shot somewhere. He's too small. Doesn't have a great arm. And you're not going to get by just because you can run the ball in the NFL. That's not going to happen anymore. Let's see what else we got going on here. Paul Spada, go Oregon. Nice Christmas tree. I don't know if that was your Christmas tree. You just stole a picture off of social media somewhere, Paul, but whatever. Get your Oregon Christmas tree and we're good to go. Not winning a national championship, sorry. I think Dante Moore might end up a better NFL quarterback than he was a college quarterback. Pavia's remarks reflected his mouth getting his butt in trouble prior to the Alabama game. Good call, Michael. I mean, again, there's a pattern of behavior here. And again, you might want to say that it isn't all bad, right? Because that chip on your shoulder, and that motivation that it provides and the way it comes out in him also leads him to do some crazy stuff on the field, crazy good stuff on the field. But you're coming into the NFL and they're going to worry about character as well. And this will, people will remember this. He's not going to get drafted anyway. It wouldn't really matter. But he should have showed a lot more class than that. Now, that said, I thought it would be a lot closer, this Heisman race than it actually was. Quarterbacks are in the news, though, right and left. Spada, what'd I say? I did say Spada first. Put a Y in there. It's not a lot of money, probably a few $1,000s. You go change your name, put a Y in the middle, and guys like me who are, have such short-term memory issues along with our long-term memory issues, won't have much trouble. Just kidding you, Paul. I've been pretty good lately. Every once in a while, I get my head gets my mouth gets ahead of my brain, and I see no Y, and I go Spada. I'm sorry, Spada. It's supposed to be Spada. Johnny Manziel, you know what? Diego Pavia is a better player than Johnny Manziel. But that's a good comparison, I think. Possibly. Here's the difference. I don't know that Pavia is this self-promoter that Johnny Manziel was. And Johnny Manziel was getting all the allocates. Pavia's got a chip on his shoulder, and I think he plays like a guy with a chip on his shoulder, and that's a good thing. If you're 6'5", I would say, if he was 6'5", I'd say go look at Tom Brady and what it did for his career. Played with a chip on his shoulder from put there by Michigan, the Michigan program, and their coach at the time, Lloyd Carr, that he carried through and made him the best player of all time in the NFL. Pavia's got no chance of that because of limitations. But Johnny Manziel didn't have that same chip on his shoulder. Johnny Manziel wanted to just go party. But there are some similarities, I think, outside of the things that I just talked about. Hello, Michael. Michael Abrams, good to have you with us, tuning in at work again. Happy birthday. Hello, Chris F. Grave, our Canadian correspondent, checks in. Stan Powell would be 100. Man, I wish one of these guys was alive one day. We'd have a big story. He'd be 134 years old today, played the position of guard, and came out of Haskell Indian College. Where's that located, by the way? And Haskell, I know you're going to tell me, but give me like a region of Canada that's similar to. Do we have any bowl games that make any sense to care about this week? Missouri State and Arkansas tomorrow, don't care. Kennesaw State, Western Michigan. Memphis, NC State, maybe it'll be a decent game. I don't know. And that's in the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. Boy. We do get to the playoff come Friday night, 8 o'clock, ABC, ESPN, Alabama, Oklahoma. Let's talk about this game for a second. And we might get to some college basketball before the show is over. I don't know. I want to try to at least pivot a little bit and at least look at the rankings and, some of the surprises, disappointments early in the season. We'll see what we do for time-wise and how you guys are comment-wise. Alabama, Oklahoma, 9-8. By the way, one of the biggest problems with this playoff is the fact that the number one seed, Indiana, has no shot at playing 10, 11, or 12. That's just stupid. Well, 11 and 12 aren't winning, probably. I mean, James Madison's going to get blown off the field. We'll talk about that in a second. Tulane might have a puncher's chance. But Miami's got the best chance, and they should reseed. And if Miami were to beat Texas A&M, then Indiana ought to get Miami, not the 9-8 winner. Don't get it. Anyway, Alabama at Oklahoma. It is at Oklahoma. I'm sorry. This is the first round game. They get to play at home in Norman. I don't care. Oklahoma's offense is so putrid. Mateer has not played well, certainly since he came back from his injury. I don't think he played that great before that. This is a team that needed miracles to beat a bad Auburn team. And their defense is top-notch, before I go any further. Top-notch. But the best win they got on their schedule, in my mind, is Michigan. Tennessee doesn't look like such a great win anymore in my mind. Was on the road, but I'll give you a decent win. The Missouri win doesn't look as good anymore. South Carolina certainly not a great win. They lose to Ole Miss, who's also in this playoff, obviously, at home. They lost to Texas, who got left out of this tournament. They needed that defense, every bit of that defense. And again, that's part of the game to beat Auburn. But this offense has not been good. They barely get by LSU, a bad LSU team at the last game of the season. Alabama, for all the crying by people like myself that they shouldn't be in here, they're going to win Friday night. And then go play Indiana and get beat. The bowl system has much future as Tulane in the 2025 club. Listen, Tulane might win the first. Might win their first round game. Now, Ole Miss, listen, the distractions at Ole Miss have not been a good thing for that program. Plus, they had a favorable schedule. I think they had some things break their way this year. I think if there's an upset to watch for in the first round, watch out for Tulane. I'm not saying they're going to win, but they are the best representative, I think, for the Group of Five leagues. I don't feel that way about James Madison. With that said, I don't think they're going to win necessarily. I think they might cover the 17.5. They did get beat fairly soundly by Ole Miss earlier in the year at Ole Miss, and this game will also be at Ole Miss. That game is 3:30 on Saturday. Key players are still there at Ole Miss. Chambliss, the transfer from, a Division III school. Their number one running back is still there. Lacey, number one wide receiver, still there. They did a good job, I think, the coaching staff, in keeping these players as focused on football as much as they could. But I just feel like this mess is going to linger over this game, and they're going to be sloppy. And I think this will be a sloppy game, and Tulane is probably a good bet with the 17.5. That's okay. I don't think Tulane's going to win, but I think they're a live dog. I really do. At 12 o'clock, you get, I think, the best game of the weekend. I don't think there's much argument in my mind. Miami, the 10th seed against the 7th seed Texas A&M. Michael, you posted a graphic in TGI Sports Talk, our group chat. And anybody ever wants to get in that, just send me a note, and I'll be happy to put you guys in. You can watch the bruising that Danny and Paul put on them each other. No, we have some good conversation in there. And Michael posted a graphic about, I think the one you posted was about spending. And again, that's not just like NIL money and paying players, right? That's everything. That's coaches, that's players, that's travel, that's any expenditure that the leagues put out. There was also one in that same athletic article, Michael, for revenue. And it matched up pretty well with the spending. But the revenue ones were low. I mean, I feel like Ohio State's, and the Athletic, I think, noted it in the article, that from the time that those numbers were put together, like Ohio State had $60 million more in revenues. Well, at the bottom was Tulane. The matchup with big spenders, Miami was and Texas A&M were like third and fifth maybe on this list. I don't remember specifically. Miami spends a lot. This is a really good matchup. If this game was in Miami, I'd feel a lot better, obviously. Going to College Station, I just think this Miami team has a chip on its shoulder. I think they've gotten a second chance they didn't expect to get, quite frankly. I know that, they put on a brave face. Marco Cristobal put on a brave face after their last game, their last victory, and said that the committee knows what they're doing. They'll put us in, but I don't think they expected to get it. They've got a second chance. This team, I don't think is a team anybody in this tournament wants to play. They've got a tough road. They've got, they've got Texas A&M. They've got Ohio State waiting for them if they win. They probably got Georgia. If they win that game, that's to get to the final. But it should be a tough road for the 10th seed, right? I like this Miami team, not just because I'm a fan. I think Marco Cristobal is a good recruiter. I think he's a good practice coach. He hasn't always proven to be a great game day coach. This is his chance to get the monkey off his back, win a playoff game against a highly ranked opponent. Don't forget, Texas A&M was in the top 5 most of the year. I like Miami to go into College Station, Texas, and upset the Texas A&M Aggies and move on to maybe scare Ohio State. We'll talk about that later. And the should be another game. 7:30, 12th seeded James Madison will play 5th seeded Oregon. Oregon, Paul, this game your team will have no trouble with. If they don't beat this team by 35 points, then something's wrong. James Madison has a decent defense. They will not be able to score. They're not going to be able to score in this Oregon defense. And I think Oregon will wear them down and win this game about 35-3, 35-6. Just my. Oh, I missed Flo. But good Buffalo Bills evening. Wait, college football. Fair enough. The Bills won. Hello, Flo. We talked about Flo and Bottom Line Sports. Check out last night's podcast with Flo and Ken on TGI Sports Talk. There's a link to that podcast there, and we'll do a better job of sharing it so it shows up live on our pages when my old brain can remember how to go into it, right? But Flo says, I missed putting up this comment earlier, but OU has a better defense. I will not disagree there. And neither team has a really good offense. So I feel the better defense will come out on top. That's fair. But again, I'm going to say, I'll reiterate, I don't think either one of these teams belongs in this tournament. If you had waited, Flo and everybody, as I've said several times now on my shows, if you'd waited and didn't do these 5-week reveals, which mean nothing, they're just to fill TV time and get columns the next day for the Athletic and the ESPN and whomever else. If you'd waited till after the championship weekend and did this poll, Oklahoma and Alabama would not be in. Notre Dame would be in, because Notre Dame is probably one of the best 5 teams in the country as we speak today. Again, they have themselves to blame for being out. Beat Miami or beat Texas A&M and you're in. Play in a league, you're probably in. Don't schedule. Now, again, that's not great for college football, right? But don't schedule Miami and Texas A&M to open the season. Do what the other conferences do. 2 of the first 3 weeks, they play nobody. I don't think Miami has quite enough on both sides to make a run. I tell you, they have a lot of talent on this team. This team is as talented as anybody not named Ohio State. I'll tell you right now. Now, whether they're coached well enough to win is a different story. The quarterback hasn't played up to expectations since about the 4th week of the season. Carson Beck is as much responsible for the losses to directly responsible for the loss to Louisville, and certainly did not play well against SMU and didn't play that well in the second half of the season. But I'm going to tell you, they have 2 bruising running backs. They have a plethora of wide receivers. They got the best true freshman in the country. And their defense is really good. The problem is they don't play well game day, and they don't get coached well. Marco Cristobal and his staff are great recruiters. That's why I say there's a ton of talent on this team. A ton. But they don't coach well on game day. The game plan was great against Notre Dame. It was great early in the season, 4 or 5 weeks in, and then it feels like when Mark Richt was there, for crying out loud. And I like Mark Richt, just not a great game day coach. I think Marco's the same way. I do think they'll beat A&M as well, Flo. And we'll look at the bracket. I can't remember who your team gets. I looked at the total spending, by the way, the teams in this tournament. I got to give Flo some I gave him some grief about where's the bracket? I gave him a little bit of grief about the spending by Texas Tech, who did it well, by the way, $55 million. But the total expenditures, which is everything, coaches' salaries, travel, everything, Texas A&M is dwarfed by the big guys. So Texas A&M gets the winner. They're going to get Oregon, obviously, second round. And I do think you win your first round game. I think you get Indiana and Alabama in the second round. I think Indiana wins that game. We'll talk about that when we get there. Georgia would get Ole Miss or Tulane. Again, Tulane, I think, is a live dog because they are a pretty solid football team. They're really well coached. John Summerall stuck around. That distraction of him losing it could play one way or the other. It could be a distraction. Same way with Ole Miss. I mean, these players could rally together and say, F Lane Kiffin, we'll win it without you. Or it could totally blow up in their faces. Same thing with Tulane. John Summerall stayed to coach them through this playoff, however long it lasts, and they could rally for their coach who's leaving or just say, why am I playing for this guy? All depends on the guy we're talking about, I guess. So I think they'll get Ole Miss and Miami, Ohio State. I don't know that Miami's going to beat Ohio State, but I think they can give them a scare. Bannerless Quacks will definitely win by 30 plus. Yeah, I said 35-6 sounds about right. James Madison is not going to score any points. Their defense will play well early in this game, I think, but they'll get blown out eventually. They'll get tired. Paul agrees. Probably Oregon. As far as should win this week, definitely. Frank, my boy. Frank Laterzo from Glove Fist. You can check Frank and Jack Hirsch out every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Frank's a well-known Ohio State fan. I hope you're still there, Frank, to respond to that. Frank is a well-known Ohio State hater and made more money on Ohio State than anybody alive betting on football today. Did I say Marco? Oh, God. I think I'm thinking of Marco Rubio. Thank you. Mario. I do have these brain farts. I got a 65-year-old brain that, maybe I feel like I'm punch drunk. I never got into a ring in my life, and I feel like a 65-year-old fighter, for crying out loud. Thank you. Mario. Didn't you catch me in something? Michael, what'd you help me out with Sunday? See, this is a daily occurrence for me. So it happens at 8 a.m. in the morning. It happens at 8 o'clock at night too. Hello, Michael Lawrence. How are you? Good to have you with us. I don't know, Michael, somebody we haven't had with us. We welcome you if you have and haven't been. And if you're somebody who's sneaking up and catfishing me with a new screen name. In any event, we'd love to know who you root for, Michael, on this show. So Frank hates overrated State, but they are winning the national championship. Frank, would you not give Miami? You're a good college football guy. Would you not give Miami a puncher's chance in that Ohio State game? I think it'd be a close game. It'll be a high-scoring game, I think. I don't know. Now that I think about it, maybe it won't be. Miami's defense is a lot better than you think because they played badly against two not good football teams. Delaware State. I had Deshaun Jackson at Delaware. Good to have you with us, Michael. Once again, your allegiances. We like guys that call out their allegiances on this team. Excuse me, I dropped my good friend Matt Lidioff from the show, a great follower, just sent me a whole new deck of great cards. He knows I'm a Yankee fan and a Patriot fan, and I got more Bobby Mercer cards. He knows I'm a huge Bobby Mercer fan. These cards and many of the cards that Matt has given me adorn the TGI Sports Talk Christmas tree behind me. So thank you for that. Miami puncher's chance, perhaps, but Ohio State has two pro wide receivers, 100%. If they're healthy, and they'll get a chance to get healthy before they get to play again. A great defense, and they're very consistent. I give you that, but you know what? When you look at it, man, I hate to pick it apart like this. I guess I can't do that. Hold on. I want to see who. Let me get to the rankings here. Go this way. So Ohio State's big win this year is against two. Oregon and Texas. I'm sorry, I didn't play Oregon. What am I talking about? That was Indiana. Texas. Week 1. Who else have they really beaten? Michigan? I don't know. I'm not saying Ohio State's not good. But this isn't the strongest resume in this field. Penn State gave them trouble for nearly a full half. Yeah, they blew out Minnesota. They beat a decent Washington team on the road. Beat Grambling 70-0. So what? I think I know. We got too many Michaels here now. I was asking the new Michael. Well, maybe Michael 3. I don't know what we'll call him. Don't forget the Carson Beck used to play for Georgia before transferring to Miami. Miami could surprise y'all. Are you a Miami fan, Bucky? You still haven't declared yourself. This is my problem with, I look at Ohio State's resume and it is suspect, right? I don't doubt that they're going to bring it. Don't get me wrong, Frank. But, we talk about Notre Dame and their 10 straight wins. And again, Notre Dame's got nobody to blame but themselves for not being in this playoff. But we're so subjective. I mean, we don't judge. And Danny and I have talked about this, gone back and forth on the shows and in the chat that, they don't judge every team the same way. I mean, if we're just going to base it off of strength of schedule, so strength of schedule counts here, but it doesn't count here. The eye test counts here, but it doesn't count here. Head-to-head counts here, but not over here. Longhorns, I'm sorry. Best football team, second best football team not in the tournament. 3 best teams not in: Notre Dame, Texas, BYU, in that order. I heard an interesting theory today as far as the Michigan head coach goes. Kyle Whittingham stepped down at Utah. Originally, when I read this article a week ago, he was retiring at 66 years old. It's been reported that Kyle Whittingham has been out looking for jobs. Now he's 66. He's not going to be a long-term solution. But I will tell you one thing. Michigan could do a whole lot worse than Kyle Whittingham if they decide to go in a shorter-term situation. I don't know where they're going to go if they want long-term. I've said several times, I expect this situation to, under normal circumstances, I would expect this situation to resolve itself by Christmas, if not sooner. You saw how fast Alabama reacted last year to Nick Saban stepping down. This isn't a normal situation because you've got this internal investigation going on. The AD is likely going to go out. Who's taking a job not knowing who the AD is going to be? Nobody. Michael says Ohio State could care less about the Big Ten championship compared to the national title, which is sad in itself, by the way. It's a very sad commentary, and you're not wrong, Michael, about the state of college football, that these league championships don't matter. It mattered to Indiana, and it showed in that game. And ending the slide against Michigan week prior to the IU loss. The giant is awakened. Are they, though? We think they are, because on paper they look great. Sayan hasn't been perfect. Sayan has had his little blips, by the way, this year. He's still a freshman. You throw some decent, confusing looks at him, and we see what we get. And again, I'm really not saying Ohio State's not the favorite here. I'm just saying, all things being equal, I don't know how good Ohio State is yet. The one measuring stick I have is this game, and I agree with everything you said there. I bet on my Indiana win that game because of everything you just said. The game didn't matter to Ohio State. It mattered to Indiana. What's Portnoy talking about? Is he going to pay off his bet to Urban Meyer on the Michigan-Ohio State game? I'd love to know what the blowhard is to say today. I also think Ohio State will draw from the Indiana loss as they did Michigan last year. Hope I'm wrong. So here's the thing. Frank will bet Ohio State all the way through. You tell me if I'm wrong, Frank. Frank will bet Ohio State all the way through this playoff and root for himself to lose. My prediction was Georgia versus Oklahoma in the finals. I like the Georgia. Georgia's hot. Georgia's gotten better. They're the one team, and again, they've played people. They're the one team I've seen get appreciably better since, say, the Tennessee game early in October to now. They're the one team I've seen get much better. Their offensive line play is much better. Their defensive backfield play is much better. Their quarterback play, much steadier, and he's throwing the ball down the field now where he wasn't early in the year. Oklahoma doesn't have enough offensive firepower. If they get by Alabama, they're not getting by the second round. Who do you got in the second round? I lost my bracket. Where'd my bracket go? There it is. Who are they going to get in the second round? Oh, yeah, they're going to get Indiana. They're going to get waxed in the second round by Indiana. Oklahoma's got great defense. I'm not a Brett Venable fan. Great defensive coordinator. They have a great defense. They don't score enough. In these games, you're not going to get a lot of low scoring, down and dirty in the trenches battles. There's going to be some points scored in some of these games. Even in good defensive battles, you're going to see points scored. Oklahoma can't keep up with anybody. I don't think they keep up with Alabama. You're talking about Oklahoma's strength of schedule, Michael? Listen, I could be totally wrong. I'm a little different than anybody else, right? I got an opinion. I say it loud. Michael, you're just joining us, so I'll use you. I tell you that I live by the Billy Packer moniker of I'm never in doubt, but often wrong. So, Sain struggled against the two great defenses they played against, Indiana and Texas. He had some good call flow. He had some hiccups, man. It isn't like, he waltzed through Minnesota and he walked through Grambling and he waltzed through Washington, which isn't a horrible win on the road, a team getting better, coached by a guy who might be coaching in the Michigan-Ohio State game next year. Frank will bet the money line on OSU and would rather pay than see OSU win. I love Frank. I can't root against my money ever. But then, I don't have I don't have Elon Musk money like you and Jack. Jeez. Yeah, I'm not buying that one either, Flo. Listen, your Texas Tech team is going to be a very tough out. Another team I worry about the offense a little bit, but the quarterback's getting healthier. They're playing. They play an interesting version of the air raid offense. The Mike Leach actually goes back to Hell Mummy, doesn't it? Originally, offense. Where it isn't, people think the air raid offense, they think throwing the ball down the field, and they don't do it. They do spread five wide, but they throw a lot of short passes. They do run the football a lot and well, but I'm not sure they got the firepower to keep up with Oregon in the second round. I do like Oregon to beat them, though. I'm sorry, Texas Tech to beat Oregon. As we sit here today, that could change. But I think Oklahoma's got the worst offense in this. Well, James Madison. I think Tulane's got a better offense than Oklahoma, quite frankly. Indiana waxes Oklahoma or Alabama, but it'll be Oklahoma. I think it'll be Alabama. But I agree, Indiana will take either one of them apart. Michael Abrams wants to throw a dark horse pick in here with Texas Tech. I just talked about them a little bit. And it could be an interesting they've got an interesting draw, I think, too. I think, they get a bye. They get Oregon in the second round, let's say. Not a big Oregon fan of this year. I think Dan Lanning's an excellent coach. I just don't think he's got the horses. I think Texas Tech wins that game. I think they do match up favorably with Indiana. I think it would be a low-scoring event, similar maybe to the Ohio State Indiana game, and I think they've got a reasonable chance to get to the final. And if I wasn't a Miami fan, I would take a little future bet on Texas Tech. But I'll be rooting for my team. Money, we'll see. They play. See, I think it's the opposite, actually, though, Michael, from your analysis. They play great defense. Their front four is the best maybe the best in the country. They do a great job of filling their gaps and staying in the gaps where they belong, and that frees up the linebackers to kind of freelance and have their way. I love this Texas Tech defense. It's the offense that I'm concerned about, putting up enough points against a really solid defense that they'll see against Oregon, and even better defense that they'll see against Indiana, should they get that far. But I do like their chances to be a dark horse just for different reasons than you. Michael Lawrence says, probably not Frank. I respect your opinion. My opinion is on Georgia because of their overall performance. The same for Oklahoma's front seven, which got better in their outside coverage. But they didn't get better on the offensive side of the football, Michael. This is what I'm saying. You've got to score some points. Even in good defensive struggles, a lot of times in college football today, you still see a bunch of points scored. You've got to be able to put points on the board. I'm not sure Oklahoma's going to get to they're not getting to 20 against Alabama. If they play to Indiana, they're not going to score two touchdowns. They're going to give up two. Georgia's gotten better on both sides of the ball. Offensive line is so much better than what it was, which has made the quarterback play better, which has made the run game better, which the running backs have gotten healthy. Their defensive backfield is playing so much better. As far as improving during the course of the year, my overall, as a team, Georgia, I've seen it leaps and bounds above any of these 12 teams. Texas Tech. That's okay. Great minds think alike, Michael. Flo, who in total transparency is a huge Texas Tech fan, as I am a Miami fan, so we have to weigh that with any comments. But he also knows the team inside now. Tech's offense is fine. They're balanced with more of a run game. Wide receivers are underrated, and the tight end Terrence Carter Jr. could be an X factor. All fair points. Don't get too worked up, Flo. I like your team as a dark horse. How about two dark horses? We get Texas Tech and Miami in a final. You and I will have a wager. You got a much better shot at getting there than I do, though. Cowboy Coy Aiken could have a good game along with the speedster Reggie Virgil. I'm not saying there's not potential on that offense. And you got a great coach. By the way, I saw his salary this week in the, I think one of the Athletic articles, $4.6 million that's his extension. If that's not going up, Flo, and I know you and I talked about his extension previously. And I quite frankly don't know if the 4.6 million factors in any more money in his extension. But if that's what he's getting, they better re-extend him and reevaluate his base pay, or next year somebody's going to come calling. He's a really good coach, McGuire. Hope you're right, Michael, but I think OSU beats Georgia by 10. I'm hoping they don't play each other. If it's OSU and Georgia, I'm going to say OSU wins that game. And 10 would be reasonable, right? I think you'll have a good game, and Ohio State maybe pulls away late in that game. Georgia will give them a battle. I think Miami's going to give them a battle. Flo's got Georgia Tech. Oh, Georgia and Texas Tech. Can they? That's they can. Everybody's got a pick today. Miami versus Tech. I'd give us a better chance than the Canes. No, you definitely have a better chance than we do. I think you match up pretty well. With your side of the bracket. I think the teams you're going to play, most likely you're going to play, I don't think you match up that badly against. You're going to be in those games with a chance to win. I don't think you're blowing those teams out. I think they'll all be closely contested games that Texas Tech will play in potentially. Same with Miami. I mean, I don't see there's some blowout potential outside of Tulane and James Madison in these matchups as we go forward. I don't see Texas Tech on a blowout side of either way. I don't see Miami in that situation either, and you certainly have a better chance than my team does to get there, that's for sure. Especially with Marco/Mario Cristobal in charge. If I'm ranking the coaches, this is a good let's rank the coaches real quick. Let's rank the coaches. If I'm going to rank the coaches, it's not what I want. I just want a list so I can go easily. All right. Kirby Smart's number one. And without a doubt, Kirby Smart's the number one guy. I've got Kirk Cignetti, 2. I'm going to put, you guys can do your own ranking here. I'm going with Dan Lanning, 3. I'll put Ryan Day, 4. I'll put Mike Elko, 5. Joey McGuire, 6. John Summerall, 7. Bob Chesney, 8. Doesn't matter, they're not going to win. I'm not saying chances of winning. These are the best coaches in my mind. 8. Brett Venable, 9. Marco Cristobal, 10. And whoever is left, 11 and 12. Who I got left? John Summerall, 11. Or did I already rank him? I already ranked him. Hold on. Who did I miss? I missed somebody. Kalen DeBoer. Sorry. That's where I'm at. Sometimes special teams are very important, Michael Lawrence. Great call. Rick Sherlock, we talk about it a lot on this show. Rick's not with us tonight, but that I've seen anyway. If you're there, I'm sure Rick will chime in now that you've mentioned special teams. But special teams are very important. When they've saved a new playbook during the playoffs. I'm not sure I'm reading this right. Sometimes special teams can surprise you when they've saved their new playbook during the playoffs because they study media films during the regular season, if you all agree. I listen, whether they're studying film all the time, I get you. Well-coached special teams There are three facets to the games, and not enough teams put enough emphasis in that third one, which is special teams. Games are won and lost all the times on special teams, and we kind of just look the other way. We've seen a ton of it this year in college football. You see a ton of it in the pros. And I'm not just talking about missed field goals. I'm talking about kick coverage, kick returns, punting. Field goals to me is like the last piece of special teams that really matter. It matters. Kick coverage matters more than you think. Field position is so important in these games. So, yes, special teams can make the difference in some of these really close-fought games. So that's his new contract is $7.4 per year. That makes him about where he should be. That's where I would say most of the coaches, the higher ranked coaches who have not won a national championship kind of sit about where he is if they're not named Lane Kiffin. My list isn't long enough for Billy Napier. I got the outgoing coach ranked 7th. Billy Napier would have to have another 7 added to that. So 77. I might be able to fit Billy Napier in about 7. You know, look at Billy Napier probably do a fine job at James Madison. Billy Napier was just in over his head in the SEC and Florida in particular. Not all his fault. Bad choices. Anybody doubt that Kirby Smart is the top guy here? Is there any doubt Kirby Smart game plans better than anybody here? Does more with what he has than anybody else here? Kirk Sneddie's kind of getting to that level, but he's only done it for 2 years at the top level. He's won everywhere he's been. Google him. Great football coaches. Bum Phillips had a great saying. Frank will probably remember this. Maybe some of the other guys remember this. Kirby is the best. Yeah, coach. He is the best coach of college football. I agree. I was only ranking these 12 guys. He's the best in football. And I was going to say, Frank, you might remember this. Bum Phillips had a saying about what is the definition of a great football coach. And Bum said, and I'm probably paraphrasing, but Bum said he can take hisins and beat urines and take urines and beat hisins. So that means he could just take either team and beat the other one. And I feel like Kirby Smart's that guy in college football right now. It was Nick Saban. Now it's Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart took a little time to get over the hump. I mean, we thought for a while it looked like he was just going to be another Mark Richt at Georgia, and then he got over the hump. And he stayed well over the hump. And there's nothing not to like about Kirby Smart, for sure. Best in college football right now, no doubt. Did he say it about Shula? Okay, my bad. Well, I guess it's the same thing. That's a mark of a great coach because Shula was a great coach, and at that time, probably the GOAT. Maybe not anymore. I would say I was paraphrasing. That's why I got guys like Frank who got better memories than me. Frank, how do you guys take all those shots to the head and you can think faster than I can? Kidding. Oh, guys, you see the logo up here for Mac McGrath. Remember, National Streaming Sports, which TGI Sports Talk is a part of and continues and will continue to be. National Streaming Sports is now under the moniker of the McGrath Streaming Podcast Project in honor of Mac McGrath. And Brian Arts put together that kind of cool silhouette of Mac. And that will be the logo for the network, and we'll certainly do our part to support the network as we go forward. Oh, you're a Dolphins fan. Well, we won't get into it too much tonight, but I'm not, why are we shocked? Because they're out of it. You got to find out what you have in Cam Ewers, right? As much as I wasn't a fan of last year's quarterback class, this year's class is one of the worst I can remember. There's like one guy who should go in the first round, and he should not be going in the top 10. But somebody's going to reach because they always do. Brian Art, very cool logo. Yeah, I did that. The new I did new logos. Thank you, Michael. I did mine up myself today on Chat GPT. I did new logos for the sports huddle. It's a college football huddle for now. We'll talk some basketball. We might even look at the rankings here early. We'll get more into basketball as we move through these playoffs. So I did it for this. I did it for the MLB update. I did it for the Sunday Stream of Consciousness, and then we have a brand new one I just did a few months ago for Jack and Keith's weekend playbook. So me and ChatGPT, we're buddies now. So I hope you like it, and I hope you like the ones you'll see going forward. And I think what I'm going to do is, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to film a new short intro for my shows, dates and times and whatnot. We used to do it for Mac, and he played on Roku when we had shows there. And I'll put together in the next couple of weeks. We'll do a new intro with all the logos for the shows and the times and the days and the times and such, and we'll go from there. See you, Michael. Good to have you with us, my friend. Don't work too hard. Jackson Dart came out this year, he'd be a top 5 overall pick. I agree. If Arch Manning came out this year, he'd be the number 1 pick in the draft. You could not convince me otherwise. And Arch got better as the year went on. Arch, listen. Arch deserves a chance to get better. I hate it. We get down on guys so quick, because they can't match the hype right out of the gate. Arch Manning had a couple good games, a couple of really good games as we headed towards the end of the season. Didn't play well, and then listen, he's as responsible as anybody for Texas struggling a bit this year and having 3 losses and not making the playoff. But Arch got better as the season went on. The team got more confident in him. They let him play the way Arch Manning should be playing, where his legs are as involved as his arm. And I tell you right now that if he had declared for the draft and he did not, he would have been the number 1 pick. Smartly staying in school, by the way. And you're going to see a much better Arch Manning this year. I'm positive. I didn't do much. I'm not a graphic designer. All I did was take chat. I went to Chat GPT and said, build me a logo that's for the TGI Sports Talk's college sports huddle, and use a TGI Sports Talk colors and logo, something along those lines. And it took all that and made what you see. I did nothing except say those words. BA, your Mac logo is tight. I think tight means good. I'm a little old. Oh, guys. Good show tonight. I'm looking forward to the game. Listen, are there any bowl games that care about this weekend? Besides the playoff games? Let's see. Montana State playing the FCS championship game. That could be an entertaining game. That might be a watch on one of the TVs for me while Tulane and Ole Miss is playing. You got Illinois State and Villanova playing in the other semifinal. I said championship game, semifinals at 4, and Villanova and Illinois State in the other. The shocking, none of the Dakotas are in there. Very shocking result there. Before we meet again next Wednesday night, Washington State and Utah State in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. We're all excited about that one. Tuesday, Toledo and Louisville, the Boca Raton Bowl. Bush's Boca Raton Bowl. Western Kentucky, Southern Miss, and the New Orleans Bowl. Yawn. UNLV in Ohio and the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. Ohio fired their coach today, too, by the way, for undisclosed, very serious indiscretions. I was looking for my favorite. It's one of my favorite Bobby Mercer cards, by the way. Thank you, Matt Lightoff, for that. Speaking of Alabama, the great John Hanna. And speaking of Kansas, which we weren't, the great Steve Grogan. Just a couple of the cards he gave me. I'm starting to not off here. There's a thanks for Michael. Tight is good unless it's your underwear. That might be my problem these days. My personal crusade, by the way, I'm down now 26 pounds, 26 pounds, still quite a ways ago. It's a little like the deck chair blowing off the Titanic. But I do see it a little bit here, and this barrel is kind of decreased a little bit. With jowls a little bit. I try to see myself on screen and see how it looks, but we're battling. Keith, you had to be creative to input that info. So yes, you created it. Where do you go? I was, you know, what's weird is the guy's talking to me, the AI guy. I don't know what else to call him. The AI guy was talking to me the whole time, telling me what he was going to do, explaining the process of what he was going to show me, and ask me questions about what I liked and didn't like afterwards. So thank you, Brian. Right. Oh, God. So we're not excited about any of these games, by the way. After that, we'll get to we'll look at the other bowl games next Wednesday. I can't get excited about any of these games. Maybe next weekend I can get excited in some games that are not playoff related. But I just don't have any interest in these games. I'm not turning this game on tonight. We talked about, you're going to turn the games on. No, I'm not. Let's take a quick look. Because I've done very little. I've done very little of paying attention to the NCAA men's basketball so far. So we won't talk any bracketology because it's a little early, but let's look at the AP poll because that's the one we follow. Arizona is number 1 with 42 points. They're 9-0. Michigan gets 15 first place votes. Duke gets 3. Iowa State gets 1, all undefeated. Duke and Michigan 10-0. Iowa State 11-0. UConn is 5. I think they just fell there. They had their first loss, I think, the other night. Purdue is at 10-1. Gonzaga's at 7, 10-1. Houston 10-1. Michigan State 9-1. BYU up there at 10, 9-1. Louisville bouncing back after bounced back a little bit last year, but had some really couple of tough years in Kenny Payne. But bouncing back. Carolina off to a strong start. Now remember, conference plays barely started in most cases, if at all. Vanderbilt 10-0 in basketball after a strong football season. Arkansas 8-2. Nebraska 11-0. Don't get excited. Nebraska started off quickly last year and faded pretty quickly. Alabama 7-3. Kansas 8-3. Illinois 8-3. Texas Tech 7-3. Tennessee, Auburn St. John's struggling out of the gate, 6-3. Virginia 9-1, Florida 6-4, and Georgia round out the top 25. UCLA fell out of the rankings this week, and I know Danny would like to start a Fire Mitch Cronin campaign right now. Locally, UAlbany 3-9, no league games yet. Bad start for them. Sienna's got what are they playing tonight? Forget. Sienna's off to a 9-2 start, I believe, in the Metro. Let me take a quick look. I like to cover the local teams a little bit and give you a little start. Sienna's off to a 9-2 start, 2-0 in the league under Jerry McNamara. This is the problem with Sienna. Jerry McNamara is likely not to be here very long. Really good coach. Turned his program around here in his second season. Hopefully he can continue that going forward. Syracuse in the ACC. I just feel that Adrian Autry's in over his head here, and I wonder if this is not going to be his put up or shut up campaign, and they're not off to a great start. 6-4, no league games yet. Got to wrap up at work. Michael Dighton Edwards does. Check out his writings on TGI Sports Talk. Always interesting. He may have a piece on the NBA coming up here very soon. And welcome, Michael Lawrence Sr. Certainly, for sure. Be kind. Be kind to Michael, or is that to everybody? Michael's been a great addition tonight. I hope, Michael, you continue to watch TGI Sports Talk and all our shows. We'll be on Friday morning with Jack. Friday and Monday mornings at 8 a.m. we do Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. A lot of NFL, a lot of college football so far. We'll get more into the NBA as that season progresses, and the NFL and college football fade. We'll do a lot more Major League Baseball as well. Can also catch me at 3 o'clock on Fridays with the MLB update. Got a few more moves to talk about this week. And the Sunday Stream of Consciousness is still our flagship show, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., 10:45 during football season because I got to get out of here. But it's your show. All these shows are your show, guys. I'm here to captain the ship and respond to your comments and tell you why you're wrong. Until I'm proven wrong. Great to have Frank with us so much tonight. We got to talk about a lot of stuff. Did I miss anything I wanted to talk about? Surprised nobody had any comments on Notre Dame today. Oh, by the way, I talked about Leavitt in the portal. Dylan Rayala from Nebraska is hitting the transfer portal. Langway from Florida is hitting the portal. There was a few other kids, too, that we'll talk about as we go forward. I was talking about Freeman to the NFL. Don't think it will happen. I think he'll be smart and stay at Notre Dame. He's got a good thing going. Should be a lifer there. He's a good football coach, too, by the way. And by the way, Above the Fray did not make one comment about Notre Dame being left out of the college football huddle and the committee's decision. The program let Bavacqua be their attack dog there. He did not make any comments about Notre Dame skipping a bowl game, either pro or con. His name was not on attached to any of the statements that Notre Dame put out about either topic, which tells me he's pretty smart. And by the way, that's the other thing I talked about at the top, and we had a few guys comment. It might have been I don't know who it was. I don't want to misspeak, but we had a few guys talk about Sunday, and they're not wrong that some college ADs are talking about dropping Notre Dame from their schedule because, the Big 12 commissioner talked about how despicable their reaction was to not making the playoff and not participating in the bowl season, and that ADs around the country were going to drop Notre Dame or refuse to schedule them. That's not going to happen. It might happen here or there, there's not going to be any widespread boycott of scheduling Notre Dame football. If you have the opportunity and your schedule allows for it, you will put Notre Dame on your schedule every time they want to. Because you know why? Dollars, man. People in the seats, viewers on the TV. Right? Who's out there hasn't spoke tonight? Ginger, how you doing? John Gonzalez is with us from the Sport Authorities. Good to see you out there peeking in, John. By the way, John, if you're there, I want to show you this card I got. I pulled this. I got this from my first group of cards from Matt Lidioff, and it has a special place for me right here on my monitor next to me. I put it at the top of the Christmas tree, but then I took it off because I wanted to be able to show John when he showed up, but he didn't make it out today. Who else is out here? I didn't catch. Anybody? No, that's about it. Chris is already here. Brian, we already commented. So I appreciate all you guys tuning in today. It's been a lot of fun. As always, guys, I have a blast on this show. I want to send out unfortunately, there comes a time where we have to go anyway, I will catch you guys on the rebound. I'll see you Friday morning with Jack and Keith's weekend playbook. It's been a lot of fun as always. Let's go Canes. See you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.